Good afternoon, good evening. Yes, it is Sunday night, and that might have been playing the wrong music. That might get me a copyright strike if that was what I thought it was. Yes, it's Sunday night. I am back. I am knackered because I have spent the last few days at the ArdraPilot Developer Conference in the UK. And I literally got back this afternoon, as you can see from that image that you'd have seen there. In fact, I'm going to show you another image. I got to meet some incredibly interesting people at the conference. Not just these two reprobates, Mr. Painless himself and Trappy, but I got to meet the whole dev team in person, which was fantastic. And also, I got to spend a little bit of time, let me see if I can find the image, with this reprobate as well. And I've spent the last 2.5 days causing trouble with him. And there should be a picture here somewhere from me and Gary last night having a pint. Now, for those who were paying attention, we went live on Gary's channel at midnight last night. We went live streaming on SUAS News. I had set it up. For those who hadn't seen it, I ended up setting up my laptop. And we ended up streaming live from Ben's pub on SUAS News, the pubcast, for about half an hour or so at midnight. A little bit oiled up is the term I'll use. Unfortunately, poor Trappy couldn't make it. He was knackered, frankly, because the poor bug had flown in. But yes, Gary decided we were going to do an impromptu stream on his channel. So yes, and then I drove back this afternoon. So I've been at the ArdraPilot Developer Conference. We're not going to talk too much about that tonight, but we will talk about it because there's a little bit to talk about. But there's lots of news this week. There's news which is a lot more information on the CaddX Ascent system, because it seems no one wants to abide by embargoes and they're all talking about it. Literally, Stu has shown it, and we've got other people posting videos, Thomas, and a couple of others as well, I think. So we're just going to talk about that a little bit, because pretty much all of the secrets are out about this right now. The only thing we haven't got is people like me who've got it. Obviously, I'm not going to be involved in the review. CaddX have sent hardware out to reviewers already. So people who are involved in the review have got hardware. Stu is an example, all of them. But it's a very weird situation when you have people literally going, yeah, they've sent me this and here it is. And I get some people like embargoes or not. I don't really know what CaddX are planning with this, because it's going to fall out at this rate. But we've got that. There is a major update for ExpressLRS, and specifically Semtech LR1121 users, because we finally have the update on ExpressLRS that brings support for LBT, listen before talk, in the EU, which now means officially these modules can be officially sold in EU regions. That not only is the Nomad, but that's the TX15 and others as well. We're going to talk about my first couple of flights on the Chupito, because I posted the videos. That's up. But we also need to talk about the AIO as well, and I'm going to get that out of the way early. I just want to quickly highlight this issue again that has come to light, that I'm a little bit annoyed about on myself on this one, that I didn't spot this, and there is a good reason why I didn't spot it, but I am a little bit annoyed with myself, I will say, completely myself. So yeah, and we will obviously talk about anything else that comes up along the way as well. So the first thing I just want to get out the way is the AIO. The Lucid Wing AIO, which has been released at the same time as the Chupito, the current production batches that have already shipped have an issue. The issue is that the specific digital VTX connector on the side, so if I just go onto this image, there is, on this side, you've got GPS, RX, and USB. And on the other side, that image there is a dead... I've lost it. 1 second. Let me get back to it. I'm going to have to get my own pictures up for this one. There we go. The digital VTX connector. When that comes from the factory, that comes set at VBAT. And that's fine if you're using it with 03, 04 Pro. However, internally, there is a jumper that you can use, and it's in the instructions, that should reduce that port's voltage down to the same voltage as set by the servo rail. So if we scroll down, and I have got internal pictures of this, I just haven't got them to hand because I'm a little bit low. Let me just find it. There is a jumper inside. You're here somewhere. Here we go. This jumper here, that will set the voltage output. I think it's that one, isn't it? Let's have a look. Hit that one on that one. Make sure we get the right one. Worst case, I'll bring my video up and check it on my... We'll show it on mine. Let's show it on the video. Let's get it from the actual one I did. That might be a little bit better. So, internally on the flight controller. Now I just got to find the video where I tore it apart. Probably this one. This looks suspiciously like it. And power. Don't want sound. Nope, that's not the one where I tore it apart. Where is the video where I tore it apart? Gotta be here somewhere. Why is that hidden from me? There. Blind as a bat. Here. Inside, you have this jumper. Open is VBAT as it comes from the factory. Shorted should match the servo rail voltage. Unfortunately, this is not working. What this means is, if you want a lower voltage output on the VTX port, you want BEC voltage output, you should contact TBS and they will advise you. There is a modification you can do to the flight controller to fix this, but I didn't get a chance to ask Trappy, does he want me to publish that yet? I need to do a couple of tests on this to see if the servo rail power does it, because you could just then power it from the servo rail if you need to. But the issue is, if you're going to use it with 04 Lite, something like that, you need to be careful, basically. So, if you get yourself the wing, and you're using the Lucid wing flight controller, and you're using a VTX that doesn't support your battery voltage, do not proceed until you spoke to TBS. You don't have to disable a Maytech. No, but the Maytech doesn't come in a case. So, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. So, external BEC is fine. It's just, it will be fixed on newer controllers. I am a little frustrated that I missed this. The reason I somewhat missed this was I did a build and not a review of the flight controller. And I was so interested in getting the aircraft in the air, I did a build where I just went straight through with 03 at VBAT. I didn't test it. I didn't actually do what I would usually do on a flight controller and go through the motions in itself, because I treated it all as a pack. But I'm a little bit annoyed that I missed this, and I was talking to Trappy about this situation myself, and I'm a little annoyed with myself on this. So I am going to make some changes to how I do things, and any flight controller reviews now, we're going to have to go through every functionality. Check first. I know Trappy is... it's frustrating for him as well. You know, these things happen. It's not ideal. It will be fixed. What's important is they've got the message out quickly. People are told. And it does even say on the website now. So when you go to order it, it actually says down here, DJI Switch will only output VBAT. Contact them. So a little annoying. And unfortunately, it didn't get caught before the production runs had already gone out to people. Something I will say is, you guys would be shocked what gets picked up between reviews and going out. This one just slipped past. Yeah, look, I guess they're going to have to tweak the production until it comes back in. So, look, this might add a little bit of a delay to the production ones, but I don't think it'll be long. Genuinely, I don't think it'll be long. It's not a complete redesign, is my understanding. It's a miss. It's an annoyance. Obviously, it's not great for users. But look, if you have any problems, contact TBS. I just want to say, look, it was really quite a privilege for me to sit down and have a chat with Trappy and Lee at Painless. I hadn't met Lee before, so the first time I got to meet him, and we had a good old chat. And me and Trappy had a good chat. We sat down and had a beer outside with the barbecue as well. And he is a man very much of my own mind, is the term I'll use. And yeah, I could see myself getting into a lot of trouble if I spent a lot of time around Trappy, put it that way. But fair play to him. It was great to have him over. And yeah, we had a good chat about all sorts. And watch this space. That's all I'm going to tell you. There's some stuff I can't tell you, but all I will tell you is watch this space. TBS are around. But yeah, look. Now, obviously, this week I published the flight video of the Chupito that went live Saturday, I think it was. I did that while I was away. Yeah, look, everything I've said in that video remains the same. Caroline just said, I'm loving the wing. A couple of comments is interesting, actually, from people who don't fly wings a lot. It's amazing. Obviously, my channel is predominantly quad flyers, and a lot of people were commenting on the footage, like, oh, it's very unstable. And you sort of think, you can tell they're not wing flyers. When you're at the low altitude I was at, you know, I was, legal, 120 meters in the UK. You're not flying above that. You're into the lower messy air. You want to get these things really stable, you need to get above the cloud, but you can't really do that here. I think there's a little bit of tuning that can be done on it still. I've been away now for a week virtually, so I haven't flown, and the weather here today's been horrific, but I'm looking forward to getting some winter flights on it. Just so people know, what I am going to be doing is a couple of things. I'm about to do a 3D scan of the cover, and I'm going to be making a 3D print in PLA Aero cover with the Walk Snail gimbal attachment on it, and I want to fly it with head tracking on the gimbal. That's my next project for the Chupito, but I want it to be plug and play. So what I want is to be able to pop the lid off, replace the lid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan it, and then I'm going to create it with a fitment for the CaddX stroke XF robot gimbal. And I've got the case for the lower wing already. And I'm going to create one for a CaddX gimbal on the top, because I want to be able to fly with the gimbal and look around as well. So that's my next challenge for this. And what I actually really like is the modularity, because I can pull O3 out. Like, the great thing with this, let me just move my monitor, I've just realized it's in the way. But if I just pop out, like I'm lifting up, I can unplug the harness and we're out. See, there's O3 done. So we don't want that in there. And then I'm going to do it, and I'm going to mount it so I don't have to, the bigger wing is the Mojito. You don't have to, I don't want to modify the foam here. I don't want to cut into it. The alternative is I just get another one and I build one with the CaddX gimbal in permanently. But I'm thinking of just having the CaddX gimbal on the top there. Mount it into there. I'm going to have to probably do the 3-axis because you're going to need your... be able to look around. I want to be able to look backwards. I don't know the stall speed. I didn't actually get to test it in my limited flight. But I am going to do that. That is what... yeah, I do intend to still do a Mojito build. I absolutely intend to do a Mojito build. But I'm not going to do it instantly. And the reason is I do not want to distract myself from the Chupito a minute. It would be very easy to just go and get in a Mojito and do that next. I want to give myself some time on this. Now I've built it. I don't want to just rush off and spend my time messing with the Mojito. I reckon end of the year, my planning. Expect to see Mojito content from me probably early next year. That's my plan right now. I want to get the Chupito. We're going to do the CaddX gimbal mod. I want that next. And I want to get plenty more flight time on it. I want to enjoy it before moving on to something else. But we are absolutely 100% going to be covering the bigger bird. Just looking down on the chat. Do I think that HD0 Box Pros have a good enough image to adjust them over 04's 04S Skyrockets just for the whoops? Oh, the Box Pro is a great goggle. There's nothing wrong with it at all. HDMI, you got all the AIO on it as well. So as long as you're happy with a box goggle, the display and everything on it is decent enough. It's fine. Caroline, did I see you posted your video on it? Have you posted a video? I'm sure I saw something pop up. I use a bungee launcher on my Mojito. I did see a video off a port. Yeah, it's up. I did notice something. 2 Mojitos and 2 Chupitos in your junk. Yeah, I can't quite decide. Do I just get another kit and build another kit up with the CaddX on permanently? I am half tempted just to do that. There's 50% of me that wants one with CaddX and one with DJI. Maybe one with HD0. Whatever suits, like your choice is yours. The nice choice with CaddX is the head tracking's all built in. Although I have to use the Goggles L because of the stupid head tracker on my X. I gotta find the adapter because I think I've lost it. I can't decide which way to go. I can't decide. But I think it would be nice to have a cover swap option. Someone mentioned about launch. I did see some poor guy on Facebook who had damaged his with a launch, and what I noticed was they look like they made the mistake I made. Not with this launch. Talk about the person who there we go. I saw it on TBS. Someone broke it and the launch. They struggled to get it up after a few launches. But looking at it, they were basically throwing it at the ground. You got to get it in the air. It's not going in the. It's not going to take off in the ground. I'm just trying to see if I can see the post. You know what Facebook's like? You see a post and it vanishes. His was a poor launch. Yeah, it looked almost straight when I saw it. I'm trying to find the post. I've virtually just thrown it and it's gone. It's... Yeah, the ground is not a good flight environment. I flew it full throttle into the dirt. Yeah. Yeah, I found it really easy to launch. I like having the prop spun up, but all I do is just, look, you know, I've showed the launch. I showed you guys the launch. I showed you the launch. I just threw it up. I reckon she'll go one-handed. I'll be honest. I think she'd go one-handed. How far can the Chupito go? Okay, your range is limited by your RC system, your video system, and your battery. I was getting around 9 to 10 minutes on a 1200 milliamp hour, but those packs are not the best. Those packs are definitely not the best. You know, I showed the throw takeoff on the video for those who saw it, and it, you know, if I show you this, this is a view launch where you'll see me. Actually, that's me starting and stopping. Oh, there you go. Why did it cut the video file then? Why would it do that? So there you just see. Just a toss. That's the external one. Oh. Yeah, just a toss and it's off. Okay, sorry, you guys, you're not seeing that, are you? It's on the wrong screen. Sorry about that. You can tell I'm tired. I'm not 100%. Why is this opening on different screens? Right, here. You'll see the launch here. It's just a toss, yeah. Yeah, every time it's just to throw in the air. Yeah, no problem at all. Just watch your iNav auto launch settings if you're in the UK as well. The stock takes it up, might get you above 120. So just be aware of that. If you're in the UK, stock is straight up above 120. So yeah, that was just a straight up launch there. If we just go, you can just see straight up. Doesn't look like you're moving there, because it does a real push up. And yeah, just straight into acro and off. It genuinely, I really like it. I can't stress enough. And it's funny, I was talking to Trappy about just, you know, we were talking about some of the criticism around the Mojito, and it's not that it's a bad wing, it's just a lot of wing for people. And just they've got this so right. Yeah, it's got quite the climb on it. Yeah, like it's like I used to fly wings a lot more than I have recently. I've spent a lot more time on quads in recent years, but I'm really pleased to be. It's nice just to get back in a wing. Yeah, you don't have to start the motor before throttling it. So I like the prop spinning. The recommendation is not to have the prop spinning. The recommendation is to it'll kick the prop in once it gets past your head. I prefer the prop spinning. I'll tell you what's probably going to be interesting is when Lee gets his video out. Painless, because I think Lee's going to look at some efficiency options, prop changes, maybe down to a 2-blade prop. I know Lee was talking to me about that, so that's worth a look, because Lee's going to be talking a bit more about that stuff as well, because look, he's far more of an expert on the difference between the wings. But yeah, so pretty good. So, worth a look at the video. Great little wing. You can, look, this is like 5th or 6th flight and I'm over water. So, look, the confidence is already up at this point because I'm over water. I would 100% have the prop spinning before. The torque roll is a killer, especially on iNav. Yeah, well, Wes, you see what happened with the... we all know what happened with the thing. I prefer the prop spinning so you get away from the torque roll. But that's mostly been driven by the AR Wing Pro. But yeah, look, it's nice to get back in the air. So, look, that's where we're at. Nice to see. Watch the video. I put a lot of footage into that video and not a lot of talking. It was... demo of what not to do. Yeah, exactly. It's been really nice to do it as a series, actually. For me, I was really lucky. I happened to be on holiday when the wing arrived. And I was very excited and it came, which meant I built it within a day. I flew it within 24 hours. You know, I was able to get that wing together and out the door within a day, which is very unusual. And it was really nice to be able to do that. And it was nice to do it. Oh, she's there, don't you worry. She's just further up off camera. With the lane you walk down is a bit further up. I don't know you can see it between the trees. The lane is among these trees because I actually end up parking up here and walking through. And yeah, she's hiding down here. Oh, I'm doing it again, and here we go. You can't see it. I went down a bit, but they're here. Because you actually walk down between the woodland trees. Here. And then we use radios. I always use radios when we're out. Yeah, I do wonder. Well, this was, yeah, the fence video is in here. This isn't the fence video because I flew it again. The fence one, I'm suspecting it's this. I'm suspecting it's definitely not that one because that's the A. No, it's not that. I'm suspicious this. No, this was one of the other launches where we came down into the that was into the grass there. So, ooh, my overhead's off. So this was one of the launches the other way. So turbulent down in the lower wind. I was actually landing up not far from where my person was. So we landed in the grass on the other way around. You can see always a good landing like that. You could actually see my person with me then, and my wife is there somewhere. So, which one is the fence? Is it this one? No. This one? Yeah. There we go. My problem I had was this. I'd come around. I'd hopped off the throttle and realised it ain't coming down quick enough. I wanted to avoid this and I wasn't paying enough attention. But I then realised about here that I cannot risk going over because if I go over, I'm going in the mud and the drink. And you can't walk out onto any of that. That's up to my neck in mud. So I had already gone, well, I'm having to go down or into the fence. And at this point, I'm like, oh, great. Because I could have pulled over the fence, but I'd already cut the throttle and disarmed. So at this point, I disarmed, and it was like, I have to say though, 03 looks phenomenal. I'm looking forward to getting 04 on it as well. But there we go. So we know where we're at. Yeah, and it's a bit, the one thing I've noticed, Caroline, I don't know if you noticed, it does, it picks up speed awfully quickly, even when you're off throttle. And it's caught me twice now. So I'm a bit out of practice. I'm a bit out of practice, and it's caught me twice where I've cut the power throttle, drifted, assuming I'm just going to drift in, and it's glided, and it picks up, as soon as you dip the nose, it will pick up speed quite quickly. So you either just go to, and my problem is I don't want to dive it in too fast because I didn't want to break anything. What I'm trying to do is come the speed down so we're fine, but in the end I ran out of land. So yeah, you got the moment. Yeah, failure to flee. What I did, see, I ran out of tire space. If you look at it, I didn't go further enough up the field. Yeah, well, I hadn't disarmed on that one. I'd cut the throttle, but not disarmed. So, okay, that's the wing. Well, that's a message on my phone I need to figure out. Yes, so that's where we're at. Right, we now have the next bit of news, and this is actually a real big one, okay? This is a pretty big release in ExpressLRS. We're still in version 3. So don't worry, you don't have to run out and update everything. But we do now have a major release in 3.60, which among the other things it does is it brings official LBT support for the Semtech LR1121 chipsets. Now, there's been a lot of people wondering why we had the supply issues with the LR1121 in Europe, and it's been around the fact that it's not that it didn't support LBT, it didn't in that firmware, is the correct term to use. So if you don't know what LBT is, it's listen before talk. It is a requirement for EU-based RF radio systems that before it talks, it has to check that it's okay to talk on the place that it's going to talk. So before chirping away, it needs to make sure that someone else isn't chirping away already. Now, what I don't actually know, and Wes might be able to answer this. Wes, what happens in ExpressLRS if it does find someone there? Does it just skip a hop pattern and move on to the next? Is LBT in ExpressLRS looking at each individual hop for a clear spot? Or is it looking at the band as a whole and just going, oh, there's someone else on there, and moving itself around? I'm assuming it's going to pick up a chirp. If there's a chirp on where it was going to go, it skips that hop. Yeah, there we go. That was my assumption of what it would do. And what does it do if there's nowhere clear, Wes? Does it just at some point have to? I'm guessing because you can't drop the link, can you? Can you? Do the rules mean you got to drop the link? That would be worrying if we had to. And I know what the answer to that is. Unlucky for you, LBT sucks. So you say if the whole band was congested, it can't chirp. Is that what we're saying? Just waiting for Wes to answer. See what he says. Unlucky for you, LBT sucks. Well, at least number one, LBT isn't forced in hardware. It is firmware that is flashed to your radio. So now your radio that you buy may come with LBT firmware. And obviously, if you're an EU user, you should be ensuring that you do have the LBT firmware on your radio that ensures that you don't interfere with other systems. And at no point should you attempt to just flash your radio with the non-LBT firmware, so there is not the potential for you losing your aircraft. No one should do that. But it's great that we do now have the LBT version available, and that now means they can be officially sold. Yeah, there's some quirks around it, whereas often effect no. Bloody you. So, look, the great news is this is the path for the stuff to be. Is there a requirement for how carefully you listen? Yeah, yeah. Let me just disconnect the antenna. Yeah, there's no one there. It's fine. But yeah, so look, this is a major release. This is a major improvement. Something I'm really interested in testing is also the RF performance in Gemini and Gemini X mode, because there has been some noise around interference with Gemini and Gemini X on either GPS and other stuff. And someone found if they updated the firmware on their radio on the LR chipset, it solved their problem. Whereas we're now having a new firmware anyway, this may help people. So if you were using Gemini, this may help you. So we have LBT support. Great to see. Big thing. Alongside this, there is now support for other stuff as well. New features, new HOTT telemetry sensors, ESP32C TX module support for that new chipset. And then there's some bug fixes for PWM, VTX commands not being processed, fixed D-shot, MAC ID. Wes, question, is the DJI arming feature in this, or is that still for 4.0? Firmware on the LR1121. The firmware on the ESP32 is ExpressLRS. Is the DJI arming thing in this officially now, or is that still a 4.0 feature? Obviously, this firmware is recommended for everyone. However, particularly for their friends in the EU who require it, for the Nomad, GX12, TX15, which now means all of these will be officially supported and certified. The dev team do go on to thank specifically Radio Master and Semtech for their support in this to get this firmware over the line. I know people have been working on this for a very long time. This was not a quick or simple thing to do, and it is great to see. I need to do this update. I haven't actually done it. Don't defeat with 4.0, which has all the cool features. Yeah, and the Marveling stuff as well. Yeah. I might do a quick video on updating to this. So, really good to see. So, really, more than anything, if you're running ExpressLRS, it's good to see it. The good news is, because it's a version 3, it won't break compatibility. So if you do get equipment with this on, you will be able to swap back and forth. Although it is worth remembering, if you're on LBT, everything has to be on LBT. It's not quite as simple as LBT and non-LBT. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But you can have a transmitter on this and a receiver that isn't, and it will still work. It's not a hard break in the sand with regards to compatibility, because ExpressLRS dev team always say that they retain compatibility within the versions. So remember, all 2X are compatible with the 2X, 3X are compatible with 3X, and that is one of the great things. Whilst they roll things forward, they don't break that compatibility that you have in that with the releases. So obviously when 4.0 comes with a lot of new features, a lot of cool stuff, yeah, that's going to be a big one. So please do consider supporting the project. For those who don't know, ExpressLRS does have a way you can support them. You can go to Open Collective, and it is ExpressLRS. They do have an Open Collective page where you are able to donate to the project. You can donate a random amount on one occasion. You can become a backer paying $5 a month, or you can become a sponsor and pay $100 a month. So if you've got a business and you want to get your name and you want to become a sponsor, then please do consider checking it out. They have some fantastic sponsors who are highlighted down here. You've got they are one of the biggest, BAYRC, iFlight, Gap. All of these are big sponsors. Bardwell's handed over $500. He makes me look bad. Cheers, JB. Even, Blunty has donated $330. Blunty's been a big supporter as well. Makes me look really bad now, doesn't it? Unbelievable. Yeah, JB is the biggest, and HG0 obviously there as well. So please do consider checking them out. It's as simple as that. It's a great project. It's a great product. It's as simple as that. Okay, catching up on the chat. Hi, Ian. Would you be able to do a how-to use the Immersion RC Power Meter Vision 2? I just don't know how to test antennas. That meter won't test your antenna. It's pretty much only any good for testing an analog VTX. Rabbit, yes, he is. I saw that, AB. I didn't want to say anything, but I saw it. Yeah, he's still there. Fly Sky, no, Fly Sky is still around. They've released some new radios, some very expensive radios. They're going after the Yeti Club, and those boys at the moment. So Fly Sky are not dead. There's also been a bit of a leak of a Fly Sky radio on my Discord. Was it Fly Sky or Free Sky? I can't remember which one it was. Let me find the image. This was quite interesting. You need a VNA to test antennas. Vector Network Analyzer is what is used for testing antennas, unfortunately. You can get cheap VNAs. Yeah, Fly Sky, wasn't it? Yeah. Let me just find the pictures of this because it looked quite interesting. Radios. I saw it the other day. Here it is. Let me get this full screen. And it's a bit of a cross between the Boxer. Let me download the video. It looks like a bit of a cross between the Boxer and something else. So you look at it here. It's bigger than the Boxer, bigger screen. It's got a module bay on the back. Very Boxer feeling to it. But yeah, quite interesting. Just to show you it there again. So we've got a big screen. No, it's not Radio Master. It's meant to be Fly Sky. Yeah, I mean Pocket. Sorry, what did I say? Boxer, did I? Sorry. Yeah, so, interesting. More like the Pocket, yes. It's a cross between the Pocket, maybe a Tango, maybe a Zorro. So, yeah, interesting. just one last thing before I move on. There's been a couple of comments of people complaining about not receiving yet their Radiomaster TX15s. So, I was going to grab mine, but I know Radiomaster are getting production out as fast as they can. This radio has been incredibly popular, and as a result of that, there is a lot of demand, and as a result of that, it may take a bit of time for the radios to get out. I think it's probably fair to say we have seen with Radiomaster, and it's probably it is something I'll bring up with the rep when I get a chance to talk to him about it, is the review period to the release period is stretching out. I've noticed it. It's noticeable. We first saw it with the GX12. We've seen it with the TX15, and the Nomad was the same. Actually, we first saw it with the Nomad. Actually, the Nomad, GX12. The period between review, sample, and factory release has got longer. Now, that's okay, but it also causes problem for people like me. And my job at times is to say what's great and a brand's doing good things, and it's my job at times to say well, they're not doing good things, or I think I give them feedback. And I would say the same for every brand. There is a limited amount of time that people's patience who buy products will last before they get itchy. They see all of the people like me who have got them for free. Okay, let's not sugarcoat this. So they're already calling us a bunch of shills. We're here telling you how amazing it is and making content, and then you've given them your money, and then you're waiting 2 months to get it. And there are industries where that is completely the norm. If you've been buying new release game consoles, you can buy a PlayStation 5 for a year. So, look, that happens. But my comment to all companies would be, can we try and keep the release and the customer's date within a couple of weeks? I think once you start getting to a month, people get pissed off, and I get it. And sometimes these things can't be helped. Sometimes production gets delayed. Sometimes components aren't as available as they thought. Things happen. But I would like to see this just tighten up. No, I don't think it'll be another month. Reverse thrust, yeah, it might. If you mounted the motor, if you pinned the motor 3D, if you set it up 3D, it could pull it back a little just to take the speed down. But how it would react would be interesting. People bitch are spoiled, yeah, no. But look, it's other than that, I'm looking forward to really seeing people get their hands on the TX15. I think a lot of people are going to like the radio. I like it. I really do like it. So, okay, right. Before we move on to the chat, before we move on to CaddX, I just want to say, please do give it a like if you're still here. Let me just check I haven't missed a super chat, because I have a habit of missing them. I have. Right, so let me just get on to some super chats. Dane Hanson, thank you for the wow. Okay, 30.99 Australian dollars. Thank you, my friend. After Chris Voss's video on the GT relying on antenna gain to get the claimed 2 watt of output, does a standard unlocked version 2 kit have more power at 1200 minutes because it's not relying on gain? Right. I am going to say something slightly controversial, and this is nothing to do with Chris. I think Chris is a great dude. I don't believe any of the numbers anyone publishes for digital, including Chris's. There is no easy way to measure a digital VTX power without a factory calibrated 10 grand VNA that has been tested against a golden sample in the same way it is measured at the certification. First of all, pretty much all RF power testing includes antenna gain. It has to. It's a legal requirement. It's called EIRP. That is a requirement as part of the how it's measured. That's the same for DJI. That's the same for everyone. When it comes to measured power for certification, it is also not measured in the same way as you using the VTX. They will be put into a special test mode that changes the duty cycle, and they measure the RF power in a very specific way. It is impossible to get the same results unless you're using that lab. It's not possible. I have looked at RF power testing more times than I count. I had the finger on the button of a $5,000 RF power meter to test. A proper factory calibrated power meter. And a $5,000 one was used, 10 years old, but with a calibration cert. It's pointless. It doesn't tell you anything. I could sit here and tell you that VTX has 30 watts of power. Doesn't mean you're going to fly further. Digital is not the same as analog. People need to stop worrying about RF power. More is always better. Yes. What the actual number is completely irrelevant. Because for starters, digital doesn't behave in the same way throughout the flight. It's changing bandwidth, it's changing modulation type, it's changing frequency, channel, mode. Analog was a carrier on a fixed channel that didn't change. Avatar HD will be in 40 megahertz mode. It will change channel if it needs to. DJI is completely dynamic. There is no baseline. So any numbers mean nothing. It is pointless. You cannot compare them. There is no point even comparing two VTXs on the same system. It's pointless. If the manufacturer says it's got more power, then you have what you believe is more power. And then you have to hope you get more performance as a result of that. The GT has a lot more RF power output than the 1200, the standard VTX. I can tell you that. I proved it in my video. Just look at the amount of freaking noise that thing puts out. It is pumping a lot more power. Is it pumping 2 watts? Doesn't matter. It is pumping a dramatically higher amount of power than the standard VTX. That is the highest power VTX that is available for that system today. It's going to give you, in theory, the best performance. But more power in digital doesn't necessarily mean better. And you will also find a lot of people on the GT will probably find it behaves a little bit better at lower power outputs, because you start introducing aliasing and noise when you are massively trying to pump an OFDM carrier. Remember, an OFDM carrier consists of maybe 128.256 individual small carriers. So the power is irrelevant. If you've got a GT, you've got the most power you can get in an Avatar VTX. Yeah, I've seen that, Wes, as well. There has been reports of GT VTXs popping up on Facebook. Yes, it was a resistive power tester with a power resistive head. And yes, they are unobtainium and crazy money. Yeah, there's been a few pictures of GTs coming without the heat shield, and I don't know what CaddX is up to. But I also need to remember, did they have thermal compound under that before? We need to check something. Let's get the pictures up and have a quick look. This is a very good point, Wes. So, if I go for my images, we'll get them up on the screen for you guys now. 1 second. Avatar GT. So, here is my factory teardown images of the GT. So, the first thing I can tell you is, let's just have a look. Did they have thermal paste on the PAs or not? That looks awfully clean. Yes, they did. Yes, you can see it. So there was thermal paste on the PAs. We can see the blue and around the edges. So they thermal pasted it with a metal can on the top. What's weird is people are receiving their GT, and let's see if we can find the image, without any shielding on top at all. Don't you hate Facebook? You can never find anything. Yeah. So people are posting pictures like this where they're getting their GT without the metal shielding at all or any thermal paste. That is bad. That is very bad. Wow. Not even a thermal pad. Wow. Heading back to Dane's question. Dane, the GT does put out more power than the 1200. I can promise you that, based on my testing. I don't care what anyone else has said. In my testing, I'm telling you now it puts out more power. Wow. Honestly, how? How is that happening? And there's been, I think there's been 2 reports of this I've seen. How is this happening? How? Jesus. Right. Catching up, the second super chat, MediaMark FPV. Thank you for the $4, 2 super chats. Just bought a Radio Master GX12. Good choice. Absolutely. It's a very, very nice radio. So glad the GX12 is available in this colour. Yeah, they've just released new colours on the GX12s. For those who haven't seen, Radio Master just released some colours on the GX12s that wasn't available before. Been quite quiet, actually. We now have the GX12 Crush. I haven't... that's not the right button. I haven't even done a video on it. I probably need to do a video on this. This sort of slipped out. But the GX12 Crush is available now. I love the blue. I've always liked the blue. The green is good as well. Remember, the mint mist. I've got the Boxer in mint, and I really quite like it, especially with the black. It's a good-looking radio. But the blue is a good-looking radio as well. The shielding is... A, the shielding is there to help it pass certification. And B, on the CaddX, the shielding there is to help to keep the noise... Keep external noise out, the internal noise in, and heat dissipation. Thermal paste shortage, away, away, away. Because you still need shielding. So, that's that. Right. Whilst we're talking about CaddX. Ooh, just why? Okay. Does the metal shell? No, because it's anodized aluminium. If you look on most of the shells, they're anodized aluminium all the way around. The meat points aren't really grounded. So, this week, there has been a bunch of... Well, I don't know what to call it. It's not leaks. Leaks isn't the right word. I know Stu, UAV Futures, has shown it. The CaddX Ascent drone. But we've also had what was one of the CaddX testers. I assume he's still a tester. So this is Tom McCrudden, who's been posting videos on his YouTube channel all week. Test videos of the system. You can see here the Protoss, which is the name of the drone. And there is some incredibly interesting things in this footage. There's something like 5 or 6 videos. There's a few more than that. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is, please go give Tom a subscribe. He's the person posting this. This is his content. Please make sure you do him. I don't want to get a copyright strike for showing his bloody videos or anything like this. He's been posting some just nice little test videos, is the term I'd use. He's not trying to demonstrate it in the best possible way. He's not trying to saying this. It's more, this is how it looks or is like this. There is some incredibly interesting behavior here. And the real interesting one is the fail-safe behavior as the signal drops. Now, before I show this, I'll put this one up. I just want to pause the music. So it's TMC FPV. I will put a link to his channel up in a minute. So the first thing to note before I go on is this system can only do up to 20 megahertz carrier, as I understand it. There is no 40 megahertz. It's only 20 megahertz or 10 megahertz. You will see the bitrate down the bottom, and that hovers around 20 megabits a second maximum. Latency number is bang on for what we're expecting. Remember, this is being published as 1080p 60 frames a second. There's no 100 frames a second modes, low latency, that we've seen so far. Everything we've seen is 60 frames a second. So 35 milliseconds is bang on the nail for 60 frames a second, roughly, from a digital system. Not for HD0 level. Obviously, HD0 can do 18, 19 milliseconds. But if you take into account a two-way system, if you take into account 10 or 12 milliseconds of system latency, it's about bang on what I would expect from Avatar, HD, and DJI. You have to take into account HD0 is a completely different. So this is the CaddX Ascent system in the new drone kit. Yeah. Now, what is incredibly interesting is how it behaves in failsafe. There are two things that it does. So he's going to do a flight, and you will see him go for a spin around the farm. I'll talk about image quality in a minute. And you will see something. So, notice the first thing. The screen has gone black and white. We'll fly on a minute and stop there. And now notice it's gone down to 4:3. Well, that's not even 4:3. That's vertical. So as the signal has dropped right down, it's going down to black and white, and then it went to 4:3. Now, what is quite interesting is look at the bit rate. It really hangs on, even at the very lowest bit rate. It hangs on for dear life. And then, so signals come back, it's gone to 4:4, and then it's gone back to color. Now, there is another element of this I haven't showed you yet, and you can start to see it here. There is also focus mode. So there's like 3 or 4 modes of signal drop, okay? You have focus mode kicks in first. So first thing, watch the sides. Focus mode will kick in first, and where it dropped to that smaller screen, that same size watch, it actually drops in a focus mode first. So you'll start to see the sides block up. There you go. It's happened there. There's a very distinct line down the left and down the right. Focus mode. So the first stage of signal drop is focus. Second stage is black and white. And then third stage is black and white narrow image in the center of the screen. Now, there you go. Boom. This is really interesting. We've not seen anything like this before. Completely new behavior. I don't know how I feel about black and white, but I actually really like what is being done here. Interesting. I wonder how much data is saved by going black and white. I'm intrigued. What I'm also intrigued at, I'm wondering how close this might be to similar to HD0. And the reason I say that is this. We've been told that HD0 is joint source channel coding. And my understanding is in HD0 that luminance or color black and white, luminance especially, and then color is all prioritized differently. I'm intrigued. Is it really dropping the data to go black and white, or is that a warning of signal being low? We don't know if it's just a warning to say your signal is very low, or is it actually taking the color out of the digital image? The truth is we don't know. This could just be a goggle side warning to say your bitrate is really low. Because I don't know how easy it is to take the color detail out the image. Incredibly interesting behavior. Also, the way it's smearing is very interesting to me as well. Just look at that. That isn't lots of big blocks of data like you traditionally get. That isn't all your macro blocks. You can see some blocks. But look at that there. This is very different. Very different. To anything I've seen. Really, really somewhat coming up now. Lots of noise. You know, look, okay, it's not easy. And then it's jumped back to color. So what I'm going to do is just go back here and play so you can watch it through that fully. And then you see it come back up and boom. This looks interesting. It feels almost something between HD0 and traditional systems. It really does. Detail looks okay. Quite noisy. I'll be honest. It has to me a very DJI look. I have some questions over the image and the detail. I'll be honest. From everything I've looked at, I wonder. There you go. You see there it fails. Look at that. See that trip down then. And yeah, the latency stays, if you can believe the number, because again, remember, they're reporting their own numbers. See, that there is quite blocky. it's interesting. It is in... Yeah, bearing in mind, though, this is a Whoop. I also spotted something in the marketing materials as well. You got to notice where he is looking. He's wearing the new goggles that we know have patch antennas in the front. But just, there's no guarantee the new goggles have 4 antennas like the Avatar system. They may just have 2 patch antennas in the front. And if that's the case, he's flying behind himself. We don't know for sure the goggle setup. Remember, Avatar has 4 antennas. There's nothing to say this has 4 antennas. We believe this is 100 milliwatts of power output and a very small antenna. I did think the penetration was quite poor because he is standing about here, right? But we've got to see what it's like. Because bearing in mind, the pilot is here pointing that way, up there. I do wonder if there are Omni antennas in these goggles or not. If these are budget, they might only have 2 antennas. We know there's 2 patches because they already told us in those images. But no, I agree. It doesn't look to have the best overall penetration. He does show some other flight footage as well. I don't want to go too much into his footage. I believe he's an island, so his light levels are not the greatest at times. You can see here he's flying it through. There's something that smells. I believe the system goes up to 100 milliwatts, but if he's in the UK or Ireland, he might be 25. This has HD0 style smell to it at times, honestly. I am intrigued. I am very, very intrigued. It doesn't feel... Look at this motion here. This is weird. There's like motion lines. You're not used to seeing that. This is different. This is genuinely different. CaddX have told me it's an all-new system, entirely of their own in-house making. I can't confirm or deny that. We can only believe them at this point, and if we find out something different, then we'll say... We don't even know if it's 2-way. I assume it's 2-way, but we don't know for sure it's 2-way. You got to remember, this isn't designed to replace Avatar HD. This is some night footage from it, I believe. No, it's not. That's analog. I think he was trying to... We don't even know some of this. No, I don't know if that's footage from it or not. We know this is. This was in lower light. Quite a lot of noise in this, but it is in lower light. It's hard to judge how the image quality looks. Blue Sky says, to me, it doesn't look any better than OpenIPC Ruby. I'd argue it does. I'd actually argue it does. What we've got to find out is what the link stability is like. Remember, those 2 systems I've still not felt are flyable 100%. This is in lower light. It's got some interesting behavior, that's for sure. Yeah, it's got to feel like an FPV system to start. There are elements of this that make me think joint source channel coding, honestly. The reason I'm saying that is this, right? Look in the darkness. This should be blocky mush. If that was avatar, that would be blocky mush. Focus mode's starting to kick in now. Look how very evident focus mode is. Very evident. Then down to black and white. It's because he's turned against himself. So now that looks like your tradition. That's your normal macro blocks. You can see the blocks in the focus mode stand out like a sore thumb. Absolute sore thumb. You know, that's your typical region of interest. That is. And then it starts to clean up. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued with what this is. So, look, please do go check out his channel. He's got some videos on there. Still a weird pink hue. We don't have purple or pinkish evenings here in Ireland. Yeah, I did notice the pink hue. And look, here's some things we don't know. We don't know. Does this system have onboard DVR? We don't even know if it has a DVR on it. Look, there is so much we don't know about this system. It might be live view image only. You know, it's a very big difference making a system that transmits. You know, HD0 don't have an onboard recording DVR. Remember that. You know, HD0 is always recorded from the ground side. Yeah, look, this is in low light. He said it in the video, so it's definitely noisy there. I haven't seen it in light where I'm 100% happy. I don't want to show that one. It's got his kids in it. I know he's posted it, but it's not for me to do that. This looks like pretty decent light. But it's Ireland, so he's going to have the same problem I'm going to have. You would be surprised how dark a day that could be, because he's got the same problem I have. You know, we're not that far from each other. I wouldn't even necessarily say this is a bright day. So it's hard to judge. It's very hard to judge. Yeah, we just get no light when the clouds like that at all over in the west. This is overcast day, yeah. But yeah, look at the bitrate numbers, 8 megabits a second. You know, this is not replacing Avatar. This isn't a replacement for Avatar. It certainly looks decent enough. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I would, right now, if I was going to judge this, based on what I've seen, I'm going to lean HD0 level of image quality. I'd say it still falls behind Avatar from what I've seen. I would compare the image quality here to more like HD0 from what I've seen. But that could be the uploading. I do wonder what the point is, and this is the problem next. And look, you know, I will always tell you the truth. So before we get out of this, Tom's page, please do check it out. Give him a subscribe. Let's get him up to 1,000. At least get him up to 1,000 subscribers. He should be up to let me share, copy. I'll paste it in the chat. He My observations are quite simple. It appears to handle low bitrate better than anything I've seen, period. If the numbers are right. Latency seems extremely stable considering how low the bitrate is. It has very new low signal behavior. Focus mode, very noticeable in color. Whole image goes black and white, and then you drop down to this 8 by something slice, I guess it is in the middle. Here's the problem. In every way I've seen, this is lesser of a product than Avatar. It might be cheaper, but is it really going to be half price? Because if it isn't, it is a real hard sell to the FPV world. But then again, it's not aimed at the FPV world. And that's the truth. It's going to be sold initially with the drone anyway. The new a VTX won't come for 3 or 4 months, and then a VRX module. Where this gets really hard is, how do I say to you, you should go and buy this over Avatar? And as Crunch2 just said, a half price over what? Yeah. The 1S, I don't know. Is it really going to be cheaper? I think CaddX are not making money on Avatar as it is. And I think it's going to be even harder for them to come in at a lower price if they're not making money on that. So, this, less for less, you know, everything about this, you're going to have a system with worse latency, worse image quality, less compatibility, and you have to buy new goggles. That's a hard sell. Whereas you could go and buy on Rotor Riot, right? £380, you can get the Dominator HD, which is still a great goggle, and go and get yourself an Avatar 1S kit. What are CaddX charging for the Goggles X? I don't even know what they're charging for the X. $459. Yeah, you are right, Goggles L. You are right. $199 for the Goggles L. It's a hard sell. I just don't know how you... It's always hard to sell a lesser product. You know, one of the biggest benefits of Avatar is the sheer amount of camera and compatibility. No, we don't know how much the kit is. But again, we also have to think that this product isn't for us. Now, the drone has been showed. Stu has showed the drone. UAV Futures has shown the drone. He did show it as well. It is, in essence, I'll be honest with you, you know, we've seen a lot more leaked images. DIY FPV. Stu had posted more images on here. There's images of the drone. It really is an iFlight Defender copy, but with their own FPV system. In essence, if you look at the design of it, I'm just trying to see where the pictures are he had. I can't find them now. I did download them, didn't I, last time? Have I still got them downloaded? Let's have a look. Yeah, this one here. Ask the board. Trying to find the picture. Oh, Stu's video, he showed it. Just trying to get back. Stu showed it. It's very much a Defender 25. If I go to YouTube, I think Tom showed it as well, didn't he? If I go to history, I think he showed it on his channel as well. If I go back to his channel, I think he showed. I'm sure he showed it. I just don't know which video he did it on. In one of his videos, he showed the unit, but I don't know which one it is. But it's basically a Defender 25. Oh, yeah. You know, here's the... We had some pictures. I don't think it was that one, was it? Yeah, there we go. Stu shows it here somewhere. It was towards the end, wasn't it? Yeah, it's here. He's got the kit here. It very much... Ah, it's in a short, was it? I knew he'd showed it. I swear I'd seen it. Ah, there you go. So there you go. Look, this is very much a Defender 25. Proprietary battery. Very much Neo style. Yeah, I did read it's 2S. But look, yeah, so 2S. It's heavy for a 2S as well. So look, it's... The final thing I am going to say, and let me get the pictures from my Discord for this. There are some things that worry me, and... Wes, are you still here? Let me just find this, and I'm going to put you on the spot. So let me just find something I want to show you, guys. There were some more pictures earlier in the week, and I just want to find them before I show you because this is quite important. There was a bunch of leaked images. No, I can't find it. So, the remote controller is apparently ExpressLRS. You can bind it to other controllers, but I don't believe it is. I don't know. Wes, are you able to say anything or not? They've said the radio is ExpressLRS and it's going to run Betaflight. Yet my belief is it's a lockdown version of Betaflight from Tom's own wording, and you can't adjust the parameters. And if the radio's ExpressLRS, is it a fully sanctioned, officially supported target? Because they could also be in GPL violations here. Okay, Wes has said, we have had nothing from CaddX, no comms on this at all. So, that tells you that CaddX are shipping a radio. They have said it's using ExpressLRS, and we believe it's running Betaflight, yet it doesn't appear to be officially supported. Now, I don't know for Betaflight. We'd have to talk to the Betaflight dev team. If there's anyone here from the dev team, shout out. Has CaddX had you? So you also here have a product which is potentially in GPL violations before it starts as well. Which is a shame. Because why wouldn't you work with the projects? And again, that is something that needs to be brought up in the reviews. If a manufacturer is selling it with software which is a violation of the licensing and you know about it, then you should say about it. And that is something I will highlight here now. That it does appear that they're going to be in GPL violations. How does GPL violations work? If you change the code, you have to publish back. Is how it works. If it's that. Like Reality Printers, exactly the same situation. So what that now means, and here's a great example, it's been said that it works, you need to publish the source so it can be pushed back. So they could publish the source at release. But from an ExpressLRS perspective, it won't be in the configurator, the radio, so it'll have CaddX's own fork of firmware. My belief is there's no attachment to Betaflight from what was said so far, but I haven't tried it. So there are, someone said earlier, CaddX doing CaddX things. Look, if they publish the files, then it's fine. And I actually get that they might want to lock it down. That actually makes sense in some ways. Now, I believe they you can use it with ExpressLRS. So, look, that's where we're at with it. I don't know the launch date. I'm guessing it can't be long. The fact that Stu's got one, probably, look, maybe this week. I don't know. I'm not involved, so I have no official dates, retail, anything. I can't tell you when it's coming out. Most of the time, you're not given 2 weeks for a release. Usually it's shorter than that. If it is end of September, they've given them early access, fair play, because you usually don't get it that early. It's interesting how everyone seems to be wanting to publish stuff online about it. I don't know about an embargo. I would have assumed there's an embargo. Usually there's an embargo. But, yeah. I find it interesting the amount of people who are just going online and talking about it. It's very unusual. And there's a big difference between an NDA and an embargo. I was talking to someone about this because someone said about there's no NDA. An NDA doesn't have anything to do with an embargo. Technically, no creator should ever need an NDA, but an NDA is sort of part of an embargo. But it is also a separate thing. And this is where I had an issue with CaddX, because the NDA said I was required to protect CaddX's IP. and that's why I refused to sign it. And the problem with that is, if it says I am required to protect their IP, that means forevermore. Because the NDA didn't have an end date. It didn't say up until the point of launch. So an embargo is different to an NDA. So here's an example. I have a product here right now that hasn't been released. I haven't signed an NDA. I haven't signed an agreement. I know it's not in the public domain because I've gone and checked. So before I'm even doing anything publicly with it, I've sent the manufacturer a quick email to say, hey, is there an embargo or a launch date around this ? Am I able to talk about this publicly now? Yes, no. And if not, what is the date I can? Now, if I asked, is there an NDA to sign? They could say no, but that doesn't mean there isn't an embargo. They are two different things. So an NDA is a much tighter document. It doesn't, here's an example. I don't need an NDA to agree to an embargo. Legally, you could argue you need the NDA to enforce it, but I, as a creator, don't require an NDA to understand there's an embargo. Now, what happens if you break an embargo? Other than the manufacturer probably saying, I'm not going to work with you again, nothing legally. But it's not... If you're sent something and everyone is told, don't release until this date, then don't release to this date. If they... I'll be honest, I have a really simple check. I just go on and see if it's on their website yet. Is my rule. Is the product listed on the manufacturer's website? If it's on their website, at that point, you're free to talk about it. If it's not on the website, I always ask the question. And don't get too excited. This product isn't anything magical. It's just, it's nice, it's good, it's not bad. Don't worry. I'm not saying it. But it's not, don't expect fucking DJI 09 or something like that. It's just a product release. Nothing crazy. There's been many of them before and there'll be many again. But my point is, I don't require an NDA to do the right thing is really my point. Because remember, the truth is, everyone's trying to get a one-up on each other. Everyone wants the thing, but it's a mess. The problem is you get manufacturers who don't tell you anything. You get manufacturers who send you stuff and don't tell you. You get manufacturers who tell you something and then something different happens. You get manufacturers who tell you something and then about 1 minute before you're about to go live, they tell you something else which is completely different to the video. Or they send you new firmware that completely screws it up at least 6 times. Hello, CaddX. I'm talking about the Goggles X launch. 5 or 6 different versions of fucking firmware up until launch that changed everything. Just saying, like, that we had to redo half the video the day before. But it's always a mess. It's always difficult. It's always, and then you get the mistakes. You then get the videos that launch surely by accident. I'm going to be honest, I am so lucky that hasn't happened. I've not had that accident happen, and it will. We've all had it. You'll misset a fucking date on a launch or something, and it's happened to the best of them. It's happened to a lot of people. So, but look, it looks like it's being talked about in the public domain. Yeah, we just gotta wait and see what we can do. I'll order it when it's out. I wish they'd get on and fucking launch it. Yeah, like most companies. Yeah, they can't. Some companies you get like nothing from. You'll just have the product turn up in a box. And then some companies you get. Radio Master are very good. Radio Master are very good in that side of things. Most others are okay. This one I'm just talking about now. I've just got here. So, you know, don't get too excited. But it's unusual. I haven't had like a press pack or something. And then some of them will announce it and then send them out. In some ways, I prefer that. I think if you're going to what would I prefer? I almost prefer the manufacturer announces it and then sends it out. Tariffs, we'll have to wait and see. It's another problem CaddX is going to have to face. Right, guys. That's it from me because I'm knackered. Thank you for spending time. Finally, I just want to say, I'm going to do a video on the Agile Pilot Conference next week. I got loads to edit. There's so much I want to talk about and show you, but I've seen some really cool stuff. Just to give you an idea of the kind of cool stuff I've seen, right? I'm going to show you something very quickly. You don't see this, right? You don't see this when you go to some of these things. 2 seconds. Scratch drive. This one? Let me check. You won't see this anywhere else. No, it's not that folder. Where did I put those photos? Oh, I know where I put them. They're in front of me. You won't see stuff like this every day, so let me show you this. And now I gotta find it because it's not giving me thumbnails. No. Why is this not giving me thumbnails? Not yet. Nearly there. No. Not yet. No, not that. Not the 3 cubes on that. No. Why is it not giving me thumbnails? Not the mana drone. Not the kite. No. 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 Really annoying. Why have I not got thumbnails? Yes, it's that. Not the linchpin. We're nearly there. There's the linchpin. Got to see that. This. So, what I'm about to show you here is this. You lot think you like your motors. Right? But you don't like your motors until you've got 32 of them. And yes, they flew this. Plywood frame. This was built in like a few weeks. And just to give you an idea, this thing has potentially 50% motor redundancy. It was done as a demo unit to test to prove that not only does ArdraPilot now support up to 32 motors, but in theory it can also have redundancy of up to 50% of those motors failing. it was a proof of concept that A, you can run 32 motors on Ardru, which you can. And the idea was to prove that you could actually do it, and it does fly. I'll show you a couple of other things that it is an absolute monster of a thing. There is also something else I want to show you, and it's really annoying me that this isn't showing thumbnails. Why is it not showing thumbnails? I also want to show you guys this. This is a turbine heli. This is amazing. An actual turbine-driven heli. Just to show you. There is the turbine inside. And this is quite funny, right? Because everyone being around drones and everything on the whole conference, and everyone was, look, lots of safety. Safety was amazing there. And I will say this, the guys were amazing. But everyone was a bit, oh yeah, it's just a quad. It's fine. I'm just trying to get the video of it in the air. Everyone was a bit, let's just make sure we're well behind the fence on this one. We're not, yeah, look, it's nothing new, but it was bloody great to see. Do you know, I got a problem on this machine. When I close... So... should start winding up in a minute. And you'll hear the sound. He does some initial flight tests before heading off. He's just checking it's working as expected first. Not for 3D tricks, no. The second bit of the video, he actually heads off. Yeah, I have seen that Arab, but this was very cool to see in person. There's also some other very cool stuff. I wish my thumbnails were working because I can't find anything when I can't see what it is. Why is it? Let me see if I change them. Use another app. Media player, always use this. All right, let's see. Ah, now I've changed it to media player, and let's see if it plays ball. Right, where is the biggie? I'm trying to figure out where the video is of the big one. No. No, not that one. I wonder if it's earlier. That was a rover. I'm now trying to figure out where the video is of the big thing. This was cool. This is a vertical takeoff jet. Vertical takeoff electric jet. Let me show you this in this one. The takeoff. Here we go. Watch this. Very cool as well. That was very cool. I just want to find one more. Not that. No. Why are my thumbnails not working? Can't find anything without thumbnails. And I can't remember what order the vehicles were in. No. Ooh, is it this one? Let's try the side of this one. No, it's not that one. I'm going to give up in a minute. Nah, I'm going to give up. I'd have to go through every video to now find where it is. One last thing I'll show you. That is the new Cube Nano flight controller. What I'm really annoyed at is I don't know why I can't see the thumbnails. It's playing silly buggers. Ah, well, there it is landing. There you go. Yes, that flight controller is as small as an ExpressLRS receiver. Now, it was a bit windy for this test. We were a little bit worried. This is using 4 packs. I can't remember. Not that video. Is it this one? Will show you that. Here, they were doing the motor shutdown testing. The idea was to see how many motors they could actually shut down in flight. But it ended up being a little bit too windy. Let's try this one. Yeah, you can see they were randomly shutting down motors in flight. They had a script that would start to shut the motors down. So if you watch, there's a point where it just starts shutting the motors down. And you start to see them flashing off. So it's not that video. This one. It must be this one. You'll start to see the motors. This is me prepping. No, it's not that one. You'll start to see the motors lighting up. It's not that one. Must be the next one. Here we go. So if you watch this, they'll start to shut the motors down. There you go. It shut that one off. That one. That one. Beta flight looks weird, yeah. That's just a crazy... Just imagine making sure you got all your props on properly. Yeah, it was to prove that A, Ardra supports up to 32 motors now, and B, prove the redundancy. That was the proof of concept with it. Hell of a bit of kit though. It was I think they built that in like 2 weeks. So that's it. We're going to cover that subject next week. Look after yourselves. Stay safe. We will be back again, same time, same place next week. Thank you to everyone for the super chats. And I will speak to you guys soon.